Yeah, welcome to Three Conservative Gimps, where we do conservatism all the time just for you. We bring the message of liberty and freedom and personal responsibility. So, we've got a great show today. We are going to be talking about the election. It's coming up on Tuesday, a very important election that is a must win for the GOP if they want to keep a 50-50 tie in the Senate. Also, we're going to be talking about the big bombshell from Elon Musk about Twitter, which is going to be very interesting. So let's bring in my guests all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. He's precocious. He's never loquacious. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hello, Art. How you doing? I am here. I am live. This is a live feed, not a recording.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah,
Glad you could make it.
Yeah, last week I just slept clear through. I don't know what happened. It's just well, I was as I explained, I think on my show on Monday, I was reading some updates on Fox News because I like to have something fresh when I come in to talk about it. And apparently, whatever I was reading was boring as hell because it put me to sleep, and I didn't wake up until Mel called me, and the show was almost over. Like, oh my god! So, but I got to talk to Mel, so that counted for something. But
Well, luckily for me, Adrian was able to help me out for pretty much the whole show, which was good. So,
yeah, I appreciate
that helped
Adrian's
out.
being able to step in. So,
Yep.
yeah, so yeah, glad to be here, Art. Glad to be here.
Great. So it's been cold down where you are?
It has been frigid. It's been chilly. Sorry, I was smoking before the show, and I didn't get my cigarette completely put out. Now it's smoldering in here. So this is not a special effects. This is me trying to get this damn thing out. But anyways, yeah, it's been nippy. The winds, it was supposed to have gotten into the upper 50s yesterday, and it barely made it to about 48, and the wind was just blowing, and it was it just cut through you. It was just like, wow.
Yep.
And
Same
today,
here. A couple
today's
days
been
ago,
cloudy.
it was windy, and we were in the 40s, and it felt a lot colder than that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And then the
yeah.
next day, we got up to 64 degrees. It was nice. Yep. Well, I
Yeah.
got it. I forgot. I turned my phone on just so that I could call you. So,
Yeah. Well, I just gotten a ding on my phone too. So, from my cousin, she just
all right.
had, I don't know how many it is now, but she just had another great grandchild. So,
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yep. So, hold on a sec. I got a message from my ex fiance in the Philippines. Okay, so
okay.
I'll get back with her in a sec. She's
Yep.
doing well.
Yep.
Started
Good,
a new
good.
business, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
So,
let's start off with Georgia. So we've got a race there, a runoff, and boy, it could be either a close one or
it's going to be a washout.
the incumbent will win handedly. Which
I saw. So I can't remember who it was, but one of the Republicans said that Herschel Walker is one of the worst candidates that the Republicans could have put forward, and Herschel was that's like, really, that's the best you can do, and he was a Trump, he was supported by Trump, and right now Trump is he's a mixed bag,
yes,
and he did a lot of good for the Republicans at the time we needed it. I wish it had been different, but then he speaks what he thinks, and sometimes what he thinks shouldn't be spoken.
Yeah.
And
he needs a filter.
He definitely needs a filter. His filter does not work. And give him credit. He's a New Yorker. He's outspoken. He says what he thinks, and that's just the way it is. You take him or leave him. A lot of people want to leave him. And we've got such a divide in the Republican Party, but this is really important because if Herschel Walker loses, that gives them a 51-49, and they don't need the vice president at all. And the Fetterman's chief of staff is already talking about, packing the courts, the Supreme Courts. He wants to pack the Supreme Courts and do away with the filibuster as well. So,
well, that's going to yeah, they could do that in the Senate, but a lot of bills are not going to get passed because we control the House, which that's a good thing. And
and And this guy for Fetterman has been involved with many other candidates in the past. He's I guess Fetterman's chief of staff or whatever he is. Has but so we really need for Herschel Walker to win this one.
Right.
The polls have shown he's lagging behind.
Right.
He got hit with a bunch of bad press just before the last election.
Yeah.
And it's not helping his cause.
Right.
He's
But although the last election was very close, and if it weren't for the Libertarian,
yes,
he might have been able to pull it out.
Yeah,
he might have gotten 50%.
Yeah, he might have got that 50% threshold that he needed, and
that
would
have ended the runoff.
Yeah, let's just hope that the Libertarian voters that voted for their candidate come in and vote for him. It's although Libertarians are something of a mixed bag. They can go either way.
Yep, that's true, because they're more socially liberal.
They're socially liberal, but
they might be pro-abortion, and
it
could be a mixed bag.
Yeah, it really is. I think, but that's the way America is. We got, I'm conservative on a lot of things. I'm, somewhat left of center on a few things, not much.
Right.
I'm pretty much a conservative. I'm a Republican, although I'm getting kind of fed up with their shenanigans because as a party, we can't seem to support our own candidates.
Right.
All right, so maybe Herschel Walker isn't your cup of tea. Maybe Donald Trump did support him, but as a Republican, you need to get out there and support these people. And we got when you got a Republican, a member saying, well, he's the worst candidate we could have picked. Yeah, but it's excuse the way I say this, but
it was the citizens of Georgia.
Yeah, they don't have to like who those citizens picked, but they need to support him if they want to keep control of, the fact that he's a somewhat conservative Republican, and he's black. I mean, he's he checks
he's a hero of Georgia because Heisman Trophy winner, local college, and pro. Yep.
There's a lot of reasons why they would want him, and we need, and this has been the problem all along. We just although you notice that the incumbent, neither Obama nor Biden went down there they did their hoorahs from out of state because they were basically said, we don't need you down here. And I think that's true, and I'm seeing where Obama's, he's starting to not have the support that he did. He's starting to not be as powerful as he was. And the Democrats will soon be running into the same problem that the Republicans have had, and that's that their leaders are over the hill or passe or no longer as important as they used to be because times have changed. And this is what we're seeing, and this is what worries me about 2024 is if Biden decides to go off and take his ball and go home and decides to run as a third party candidate, and that will
Biden. It's a third party.
No, not Biden. Trump. I meant Trump. Yeah. No, Biden might run as a third-party candidate, his own party and his imagination, but I don't think anybody would vote for his imagination. He's. But yeah, he's, and like I said, this is very important to. This is important to the United States and to what we need to at least kind of keep a balanced. We're already seeing some good things starting to come from the new Congress, even though it's not in power yet. They're still starting to push back a little bit. So, like the mask mandate and stuff for the military, McCarthy's put up put up that he's totally against it, and hey, we won't get the bill passed. But right now they need to be focusing on this Georgia election. But then again,
Yep.
that's up to the people of Georgia.
Yep.
That's it really they need to express to the people of Georgia that yes, he is a viable and good candidate, and I think would serve well, and he will help control some of the silliness that's been going on. If it's a 50-50 split, we got a better chance. Because we'll have a few Democrats like Manchin and those that will side more conservatively than some of the far liberal members
like
of the Senate.
Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, like Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to even admit that she grew up in Oklahoma. She was originally
right.
And I understand her idea of the being Cherokee. That's the kind of thing. Like my brother said years and years ago, he says everybody who was born, who's got family in Oklahoma, everybody's got an Indian Cherokee grandma. Not true, but we like to claim it. It's like, well, they just didn't sign the rolls. That's a family story. That's a story you hear, and living in Oklahoma, I really see how it plays out, and she's a good example. She probably was told that story and thought, but the fact that she used it to get through college, now that's a whole different story.
Yep.
But yeah, this is an important election.
Yes, it is. We gotta hope that the Republicans in the rural areas show up, because most of the Democrat votes are from metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
And
they're usually mail-in votes. Yeah, and they're early votes. So, and that's something as Republicans we need to start embracing a little bit ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to start playing the same. If that's the game that's being played, we need to play that game too.
Right. That's right. We need to have our own ballot harvesters.
Yeah. Yeah. May not like it.
That's
if you got
what.
That's.
That's the name of the game. You got to play if you want to win. You know?
Because what we're doing isn't working.
Yeah. I mean, whining about it is not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of whining about things and changing, this is probably a good segue about how Trump has made mention about they need to throw this election out because of things that have been revealed on.
Oh,
Twitter.
Yeah, Elon Musk and Twitter. How Twitter has been suppressing, stories and information by saying, "Oh, it's Russian disinformation," and that laptop that's been hacked. We can't.
Yeah,
it's not authentic.
Yeah. That was quite the disclosure because it shows there was an effort by the Biden election committee, the Democratic National Committee, and the Democratic Party, and Twitter, and several other organizations were involved in suppressing this story at a time when it was important. They talk about Trump stealing the 2016. Well, and they tried to do the Russian disinformation story. Well, there finally was some Russian disinformation. Unfortunately, it was on the Democrat side, not the Republicans. Unfortunately for the Democrats,
That's right. And remember when the Democrats whined right after the election that he wasn't the legitimate leader?
Oh, yeah, they went so far as to try. They went so far as to have actors come on and tell the electorates that were going to vote for, the electors from the Electoral College that were going to vote, told them not to vote for Trump, to vote their conscience and do the right thing. Now that's interference in an election. That's trying to suppress votes. But it's okay for them, but it's not
Yeah.
okay when Trump starts yelling that,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. That's what we tried to do in 2020,
that's
with
right.
some of our congressmen, but the Democrats did the same thing 4 years prior.
4 years earlier, but
There
it's
were
okay. Yeah.
several Congress critters on the Democrat side that
Yeah.
says, I will not certify this election.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
but and because of that, that's where Trump came out with a statement which again his filter should have been shut off, in which he said something to the effect that they should throw this election out, even going so far as to suspend the Constitution until this is corrected.
Yeah, I heard
No.
about that, and I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, come on,
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's
that's
funny
just,
that Biden comes out and says, but the Constitution is sancto, it's freedom in America. And, but yet they turn around and say the Constitution is kind of outworn its use,
yeah,
outlived its
it's a
usefulness.
living, breathing
Right,
document.
right. And
Hmm.
what was good, it was set up in this statement. It was like it was set up by our forefathers, our founding fathers, to make sure that we had a smooth transition of government and all that stuff. But yet, when it suits their purpose, they can turn around and say, "Well, that was 200 plus years ago, and things are different now."
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
need to eliminate the Second Amendment, maybe even the First Amendment. Let's get rid of it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
and there's a mechanism to do that. It's called amending the Constitution. And
yes,
we've
that's
done
right.
that before where we've reversed some amendments. I mean, like
Yeah,
the Volstead Act. Later on, we reversed it and made alcohol legal.
yeah. Prohibition, and
Hmm.
I think that's about the only one that they've actually.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's the only amendment that has been rescinded is the prohibition. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and of course, in allowing prohibition to eliminating prohibition, they allowed alcohol, and now it's marijuana, and now it's magic mushrooms, and it's
That's much.
LSD, and
Yep.
whatever.
Psychedelics. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which are now legal in Colorado. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, and of course, what's funny is I think the funniest part of this is you see that Elon Musk has put this out there and showed that they were suppressing stories and suppressing freedom of speech in
Mm-hmm.
Twitter. Okay, but then they turn around and said he's gone too far. We need to start putting more controls on him. So they're using the argument of suppressing him because he showed that they were already suppressing. It's like
Yeah.
they want to. It's like
Mm-hmm.
what part of you just got busted suppressing stories already, and now you want the government to step it. Well, it seems like the government was already involved.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI
Mm-hmm.
had this laptop.
Yep.
They didn't. They suppressed the story.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
got a tickle in my throat. I can't get rid of. I think I need a couple more cigarettes. That might clear it out.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, back when I was a kid, it said on TV all the time that it
Yeah.
helps your lungs.
Helps your lungs
Yeah,
and it helps suppress your appetite.
it does do that. I'll say that much. But
So
yeah,
yeah, so I went and read. I went and saw Red Eagle Politics. They did a
right.
thing about the Elon Musk story about Twitter suppressing uh, stories and information,
Yeah,
and so uh, maybe with Musk making making it freer for both sides to get their speech out there that maybe some of the other tech giants will start relaxing their rules. I mean,
one of the things
s-
I found entertaining is, the left has been raising all sorts of hell about this is suppressing the liberals. This is the crazies are coming out. So when you got somebody like Kanye West or Ye, whatever the hell his name is this week, comes out and talks about Hitler and being Nazi and all this stuff. Well, he's given a 12-hour suspension first and told to quit saying that stuff. It's not appropriate. Then he comes back and does it, and he finally gets suspended. And guess what? Now they're all coming, like Ann Coulter is coming out just, well, even the ACLU supported the Nazis' right to march through the South.
Skokie.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Skokie, yeah. Skokie,
Which
Illinois.
Is not
that's
the
right.
South.
Yeah. In the South, yeah. Skokie, Illinois. I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at that. But anyway, she brings that up.
It was in the papers, Lloyd.
I know. That was before I started reading. I was trying to see what Judy was doing there. But yeah, they were, she was talking about that. And she says, so if you're going to be free and fair, you need to let him say that. Now, she's offended by it, and everybody was offended by it. She's got a point, but I'm noticing that she's also been attacking him for whatever reason. I don't know what her problem is with Elon Musk, and he just ignores her. Whereas when it's AOC, he has fun.
Right.
I love the way he teases AOC and gives her crap.
And Ann Coulter, she kind of fell off the face of the earth for a while there. I think.
Yes.
Wasn't she a never Trumper?
I think so. Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah,
she was
so
a never
that's
Trumper.
why we didn't hear much.
That's why. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been putting a lot of crap up, and she's been really, being. And I look, because I have a Twitter account, I have a Truth Social account too, and I check them both, and but Truth Social is strictly, is almost strictly right wing,
Right.
And so what you get there is a slant of story, whereas Twitter, you do have some. You still have some liberals on there that love to kick and scream and shout, and and I think what Elon Musk is doing is great, and I love that he's opened that up, and he's teasing there's more to come. So I'm sure we're going to find out, and I hope the Republicans don't waste a lot of time in hearings doing, dealing with this, but I'm sure they're going to be, there's going to be some. I like that McCarthy jumped right on the thing about the mask mandates that says we're just not going to approve the Pentagon budget unless they drop it into conversation.
Right.
And, they control the purse strings, and that's the way to do it right there.
Yep.
And he's already met with Biden, and Biden has said he's reconsidering. Yep. You had one of those guys on last week?
Yeah, there was a guy from Scotland that was in the chat, and we had a really nice back and forth with him. Adrian and I did with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he a never Trumper?
No, he's from Scotland. He's a social democrat, and but he says he's a capitalist, and I'm like going, you're contradicting yourself.
Well, they're oxymorons.
Yep.
And
then he talks about how important unions are for collective bargaining. I mean, to a point, unions are important, but now we've got laws on the book that make unions pretty much, outmoded.
Right.
And the way I look at it
is, I like to hear both sides too.
Is unions are just to stick it to the company, and then and they eventually drive the companies out of business. I mean, look at the auto union.
Yeah,
I mean, look at when I was a kid. I think we had 4 or 5 different car companies.
Yeah.
And now we're down to 3, and even those 3, they pared down some of their divisions. I mean, we don't have Saturn, we don't have Pontiac, we don't have
Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile,
We still have Buick.
Yeah, and Ford has dropped Mercury.
Yep.
And Chrysler has dropped Plymouth.
Yeah. And
they were still making DeSotos when I was born. I think they went out. They stopped right around this 1960 or maybe a couple years early.
Yeah, I drove a. It wasn't a DeSoto. It was Studebaker.
Oh yeah, Studebakers were still. They went out in the early 60s, and Packard went out of business in the late 50s.
Yeah. My father-in-law had a Studebaker station wagon with it was a manual transmission, and it was a 3-speed with an overdrive. So it gave you 6 speeds, and it was all on the column. Now that was a trick to learn to drive because
I bet
because it wasn't just pushing a button to go into overdrive. It was you had to go 1, 2, 3, and then you had to reach down and under the dash and pull a lever that kicked it into overdrive and go 4, 5, 6. And
that's right,
it was
Chris.
3 on the tree. Yeah, 3 on the tree. Yeah. But that overdrive was a weird setup, and it took me a long time. But it was a Studebaker station wagon, and when I was a kid,
was it a Lark or?
I don't remember. It might have been. It might have been the Lark. I can't remember. I mean, that was back. This was back in the 70s when I was driving it. So.
Remember the Avanti? That was a Studebaker.
Yes, I do.
That was their sports car. I think it was it rear engine because it didn't have a radiator up front.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. It's like we had I don't know how we got on the cars again, but anyways, we actually had a my dad had like a 53 Nash with and they had the lay down seats, and I remember that because I broke my arm when I was 6, and my brother sat with me and holding me because I really messed my arm up bad. It was, I broke it in 2 places, here and here, and then I shattered both these bones in between. Completely shattered them. So they had to go in and do surgery to correct it all. They couldn't just set it. And I fell off a fence and put my arm out like that, and it just went snap. And when I looked up, I got this Z shape in my arm. It was like I was 6 years old. I thought it was like a horse. They were going to shoot me and put me out of my misery. I was 6, but thoughts that go through your head, right? A horse breaks his leg, they shoot him, and I'd never dealt with a broken bone, but but anyways, they loaded me up in the Nash and took me to the doctor, and it was on a Friday evening and or a Saturday evening, and they came in and did the surgery the next day. So, and that arm has never been the same because I was not allowed to do any running or anything. I had to sleep with it up on a pillow for, I don't know, I couldn't go out and play or do anything for like 3 weeks.
Right.
And first thing I do is, even then I wasn't supposed to be running, and first thing I do is go chasing a friend down the street as he's on his bicycle, and I trip and fall and hit my arm and refractured it. And so I got a bit of a bit of a lump there that, he said, well, it's not fractured enough to take it apart and redo it, so we're just going to let it go. You're just going to have and I do. So, I've broken it 3 times since then, so, but, it's, but yeah, so I got to ride in the Rambler in that Nash with the
Okay,
and we've
well,
digressed.
let's kind of meander
Get back to
to
politics again. Yeah, what's the next part
Polit-
here we're talking about?
Well, we were talking about suppression and
Yes,
how the different tech uh, companies are, manipulated. Like
right.
YouTube has gotten really ridiculous with their
Yes, I've been.
community standards, and
Yeah,
like I like to watch World War II, which is by Time Ghost History,
right.
and now it's to a point where they gotta blur out some of the old vintage photos and film that we've seen for as a kid. They
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
show some of that because it's
yeah,
graphic, and it's like, well, it's history. If we don't get to see it, we don't get to see the horror of what
of war. Yeah,
happened back then.
yeah,
So they have to have this disclaimer, right at the beginning, saying, "Ooh, graphic content. Please be
yeah.
advised."
And they
Really?
were already doing something like that when they say that your videos are not made for anyone under 18. It's
Yeah.
just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
but these young people are too easily triggered now because
Oh yeah.
you know they
Mm-hmm.
uh they have to they go stomping out of the room with their man bun in their hair and
Mm-hmm.
their pink leotards, and that's the
Yeah.
guys. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's okay to show, that somebody puts up one of the news channels puts up something of drag queens and little kids, and but let's not show anything that's real, like
Yeah.
uh, the
Well,
horrors of war.
you hit on a really good point. There was there was a teacher out of Canada, not far from where
Yes.
Jim. I sent you that video
Yeah, you sent me
of
that
it,
video, and I had watched that. Yeah, I'd already seen.
and
Yeah,
it's like, really, and the school board thought that was okay.
yeah,
You
and
know,
it's one of those. Greg Gutfield did hit it. Is it one of the best trolls ever? Because
mm-hmm,
I think they were getting ready to. This teacher had been had already been in trouble with the school board or with the principal or something, and so the
mm-hmm,
next year came back and suddenly he was identifying as a transgender female.
right,
And
mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there thinking, man, with them bazungas
Oh
that she's
God,
got on, jumping out of an airplane.
Zeus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, jumping out of an airplane could be detrimental to a person's health. I mean, and she was doing a tandem jump,
I
so
mean,
if they could have swung around and hit the guy,
yeah, she could
you
have
know,
gotten a black eye.
well, so could the guy behind her because them
Yeah,
damn
the
things would
guy
go all the way
behind him.
around.
Yeah, or
Gone
box
around,
his
smacked him in
ears.
his ear.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
thinking. He lost
good
his hearing,
box.
and
But
yeah,
you know what? I was just thinking. Now she's or he's a shop teacher. I'm guessing wood shop.
wood shop. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's one of those. It's ridiculous,
I know.
and
Back when we were kids, that would have been considered. Oh, I don't know, crazy.
crazy. Yeah,
Where
yeah,
a psychiatrist would say, that's really not
yeah.
normal. You,
There was
you
we had a ninth grade. There was two teachers. We had a ninth grade shop teacher and a ninth grade typing teacher. And the typing teacher was known to take the guys out of class and lecture them, but he'd put his hand up on the wall and lean in real close to me. He'd have both hands. It's like, whoa, and pin the guys up against the wall. And the shop teacher was known to take the students into the painting room and be in there teaching them about painting for 30, 40 minutes. And it's like, and they ended up firing both those teachers finally, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the typing teacher, he didn't matter whether it was boys or girls. He'd take them all out in the hallway.
Yeah.
He was just a, you know, and we're talking, these are ninth graders, so we're talking 14, 15-year-old kids, you know. And, yeah.
I guess his space bar wasn't working very.
No, yeah.
He wasn't going ching.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure, but there wasn't a couple lost periods during that typing. There was a couple of them typing classes too. So,
Yep.
anyways, yeah. But yeah, that shop teacher and you know this whole identifying as something else, and it's just gotten crazy, you know. But it's in Canada, and you know they're just, here's the thing, they've just had, speaking of that, they just had a meeting, the Parliament just up there just had a hearing on veterans issues, and one of the veterans that spoke is a retired corporal. It was a female, and she had been paralyzed. You know, she was part of the Paralympics and won a gold medal in the Paralympics for Canada.
Right.
Well, she was trying to get them to provide her with, you know, trying to get their version of the, you know, Veterans Affairs or Veterans Administration, whatever they call it,
Mm-hmm.
to provide her with a wheelchair lift to go up her stairs, you know. And it was plausible. It was justified. She you know, she lost her use of her legs serving her country, and you know, they'd promised. Well, the person said, if it is that big of a problem, might I suggest sending you a self-administered suicide kit?
Oh.
Yeah. And it turns out she wasn't the only one. There have been quite a few. This person, or a couple of people with their Veterans Administration, has offered to give them a assisted suicide kit, you know, that they can administer if they find their situation so bad that they can't get up the stairs, and maybe they should consider getting the suicide kit.
God.
Yeah. Of course, they legalized it, assisted suicides, back in I don't know, 2016, but it was for people with, you know, that were expected to die that were terminal anyways. Okay.
Right.
But then they loosened the restrictions to people that had certain diseases or, you know, lots of pain, and they just made it so anybody can go off themselves. And the Veterans Administration apparently has kits that they can send. I think they're called MAID, MAID. I don't remember.
Oh. Was it Minute Maid?
I don't know. Minute Maid. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah. And it's like, this is how crazy some of these countries, and we're not far from it. I mean, we're talking now. I mean, what they're talking about is, they even just did a commercial called "Everything's Beautiful," and it talks about, and the person that's narrating is somebody who just had an assisted suicide, and they're talking about how beautiful it is to end your life. Your last breath can be beautiful, and this is the kind of crap. No wonder those people up there are nuts. You know, we're talking Soylent Green here. You know,
yep. It's gotten to a point where, you know, things that were really outside the norm, you know, crazy.
Yeah.
Now they're the norm now. And
Dr.
like,
Dvorkin spent time in prison for it. Yeah.
Are running the asylum. It's just like,
yeah, I just shake my head and I'm thinking, you know, I'm glad I'm as old as I am, because I've got to live life under a free country. And now, yeah, it'd be nice if somebody offered that kit to AOC, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, this is the thing, you know, these people that have gotten so, how we're letting them, you know, because the percentage of people that identify as transgender, or, you know, the majority of the gay community, they don't support all this craziness. You know, it's a low percentage, and those are the ones we're letting run the country and run the world, you know. And, you we've
And
lost.
they all say, "Oh, it's about freedom." They're not harming anybody.
Right.
Yes, they are. They're telling people to off themselves if things get a
Yes. Yeah.
little uncomfortable, a little rough. And it's like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I mean, look at me. I overcame a whole bunch of stuff. I live by myself, got my own apartment, got a car, I got a great job,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah. And that's the thing. Uh, it we have the American with Disabilities Act that was put in place so that we could live, and those of us that are disabled could live a more normal life to become
mm,
the
mm-hmm,
not that we're not normal, but that's what the goal has been. Now they're saying we got uh still every time I look over see what Chris writes up there, he pops up some little thing that gets me off. But now they're saying, well, if you have problems with this, maybe you should just do away with yourself. I mean,
mm-hmm,
this kind of happened with the VA,
mm-hmm,
the U.S. government, Department of Veterans Affairs. They kind of sent out that, well, if you're having and now there's so many suicides that, they 988 is a number to call in case you're thinking of offing yourself. Get hold of counseling. We instead of just 911 now, it's nine. They have 988, which is in place for suicide
mm-hmm.
prevention. And the Veterans Administration, so many veterans coming back. A lot of that has to do. I mean, you got veterans my age. I mean, we're getting old. We just like, okay, we've made it this far. We've dealt with this shit so far. I guess we'll just keep plugging
Mm-hmm.
along. But we got these kids that were never prepared because they were given these trophies for
Right. Mm-hmm.
participation. They
They've
weren't
never
told no. They
gotten
dealt.
to deal with failure,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how to deal with it,
and how to
like
deal
you
with
and
it.
I
They
have. You
Yeah,
know.
they've been protected by
Mm-hmm.
protected from the reality of life, and they were
Mm-hmm.
I have a letter that I was getting ready to send off to somebody, and one of the things is we yours and my generation that were the hippies, and we
Mm-hmm.
taught our kids to be free thinkers and open and accepting, and that we don't have to accept the norm, we don't have to accept what everybody sets in front of us, and you need to
Mm-hmm.
think for yourselves, and we kind of let it go, and we let the hey, dope's okay, as long as you smoke it in
Mm-hmm.
moderation and everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
So that generation grows up and they're telling their kids, you don't have to accept being treated that way.
Mm-hmm.
You have a right to be open minded and and
That's right, Chris.
yeah, no real consequences to their actions. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
eventually happens. So, I've
Mm-hmm.
got grandkids that are a complete mess because especially with my daughter, she was, we kind of raised her with a, little bit of, we tried to instill morality, but then, the rest of society was teaching that morality's okay, but, free, it's just that whole open attitude about why do we need that? You should be able to do what you want, any way you want, however you want, to whoever you want. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
generation that is now coming up. And those are the kids that went to war unprepared for the
Mm-hmm.
realities. I
Yep.
mean, they got, they got them divided into groups that, if they get upset, they can raise their hand and say, Sergeant, you're stressing me out. Man, I got yelled at and screamed at and told I was an idiot and told I didn't know
Yeah.
squat. And he was right. I was just a high school kid just out of high school, and I didn't know, you know, as the old saying goes, I didn't know shit from Shinola when I went in.
Yep.
By God,
Mm-hmm.
I knew what Shinola was when I got out,
Yep.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the problem. You know, we allowed our military to, I'm sorry, but I think the draft shouldn't have been stopped. I think everybody should be required, yeah, if they're able physically to. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody, men and women, should spend 2 years in the military. Just,
Mm-hmm.
just as a, you know, and if you go to college, okay, you do your 4 years of college, you go in, you still spend your 2 years at the end of college, and then you go through. If you want to be an officer, you be an officer. It's just like,
Yep.
and you go through OCS and you become an officer. But we need to. Actually, I'd rather see them do the 2 years of military before they go to college, because I did my 6 and then I went to college, and
Yep.
I took some college while I did do college courses while I was in the military, but this whole pandering to these people. That's why we got shop teachers that are wearing fake bazungas there to because they don't want to get fired, and that's what it comes down to. This is just a publicity stunt just to keep from getting fired, because now they can claim, well, if you fire them, then you're transphobic, and you're transphobic, and you're this is the good God, Rome is looking better than what we do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, national service needs to come back to a lot of countries. You're right, Grant.
Yep. Well, look at Israel. It's compulsory. 2 years, and I think it's 2 years. And
I think they got to spend 2 years or 3. I can't remember.
But
now.
you know what else is different about Israel? They don't have a police force.
No.
Yeah.
They have the Israeli Defense Force, yeah.
Yep.
And in there, and Israel's not that big. We got states that are bigger than Israel.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place where it's at,
Yeah.
And and they're being attacked all the time. Something we don't know about here. We've been attacked majorly. We've been attacked twice.
Right.
Only once in the 48 since 1812, since the War of 1812. I guess you could talk about the Mexican-American War, but that wasn't a whole lot. It was
no.
And of course we
had 9/11.
Well, and that's the one time that was the major attack the biggest attack we've ever had on American soil.
Right.
And we seem to have forgot that. We've come from, and in the last 5 or 6 years, starting with the Me Too movement. After that, everything went down. And where are all those women that were raising hell about the Me Too movement? Where are they now? Because now we got people that are. There's a guy that they've just now arrested. He's from the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints. And he has 40+ wives, and at least part of them, one as young as 9 years old.
Ooh.
And they've known about this guy.
Tired by now,
you'd think. And it's a pedophile ring, and he's being charged with that. But they let him out of the country, so he's at some seminar down in Mexico. Yeah, well, like he's going to come back.
Yeah.
These wackos out there, they've distorted religion. The movement towards pedophilia is becoming bigger and bigger of a thing, and it's just gotten bad. It's just, and I just, my head is sore from beating it against the wall,
Right. I was watching Gutfeld the other day, and I think it was that same video that I sent where one of the comedians was talking about the sex offender list, and he said, "Johnny, don't go over there. That guy's a pedophilia," and Johnny might think, hey, maybe he likes to walk, ride a bike.
Right, ride a bike. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a.
Get a little confused there.
Yeah, we need to maybe, child molester has got a whole different story now. That's what they are. They're child molesters in any shape.
What's funny is, I looked on one of those registries, and the apartment building behind me, we got a guy that's on the register.
Registry, yeah.
Oh, and that guy that stole my drone that landed on his...
Right.
he wasn't registered.
Oh, he wasn't.
Turns out he was living there, but he didn't register, into the system. So
Yeah, yeah, and that list. What does it do? I mean, only if they catch him not being on the list, do they really follow up? They're not, and that's the problem. Many of these people that they're arresting have already been on the list in an event. You got these apps like Grinder or whatever the hell that is, that or Tinder or what
Tinder,
one of them. Yeah, and I know for a fact that that's an app for a lot of the pedophiles to hook up. And I only know this because of a family member of ours that is a pedophile, and finally got busted, and I was glad of it. And he's at least on the list for life. It's not.
Yeah.
It's he got busted enough, and I keep hoping, and I hope they never reoffends, but I hope on the other hand that he gets busted again, because this time he'll go to prison for life, and I would love to see it.
Yep.
But it's just gotten crazy,
Yes, it has, and sadly, here in Colorado, we're officially a blue state, and it's like Republican Party is pretty much useless here, because why bother supporting candidates if they're not going to win?
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, Democrats probably feel the same way in your state, because it's a pretty solidly red state.
It's a solid red state. Yeah. We did have a transgender person that got elected to the state house 2 or 4 years ago. And I don't think they won re-election. I think they were just a little too far out of norm for Oklahoma, An example, I'm not going to, I know of a college in which there's a couple of liberal teachers teaching at that college, and they're
liberals teaching at college? No way.
Well, this is in Oklahoma, so it's a little bit different. It's at an ag college, so we're talking cowboy hats, boots, and cows and bulls. They have
where the men are men and the sheep are scared. Yeah,
and these teachers have espoused some things, and they're the campus police have told them that has gone to the president of the college and says we can't protect these teachers if they keep pushing that. This is a school that allows guns on the campus. They're locked up, but they have a shooting club on the campus, And these teachers are espousing some pretty far weird stuff, and there's been a lot of threats, and the police department has said we can't protect them if you keep allowing them to do that. You need to, and this is, you're in Oklahoma. This isn't California, folks, and it's been a real problem. And because they've and they're gonna go out and do something, and they're gonna say something to somebody or act a certain way towards somebody, and that student's parents or older brothers or older sisters or whatever are going to come stomp that teacher's ass into the ground, and that's going to be that. Little country justice goes a long way around here, and
and now I just recently found out that the Supreme Court has said that the police have no right to. I mean, there's no right to protect you, and it's like, well, okay, that then protection falls on me to make sure that I'm safe, not because the police are. When they show up, that's when they put the chalk outline on your around your body.
Yeah, and they're not. There's no constitutional amendment that says that we have the right to be protected by the police, and that's true. That's why we have the right to keep and bear arms. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what that falls under. You know, there's no constitutional right that we can be protected by the police. We have the right to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's right.
and matter of fact, I just realized I'd gone to the store, and I just realized I still have my gun. I was wondering what was sticking me in the ribs over there. My pistol. I still got my carry firearm here, and I was
Oh.
like, what the hell is that?
Well, here
Oh,
in Colorado, the great city of Broomfield has decided to make it mandatory that you take a firearm safety class before you buy a firearm. So that's just going to make it more expensive for a single mom that's on a tight budget to
yeah.
protect herself from a violent ex boyfriend or spouse.
Right. And there's truth in that, but I mean, I know that I was in the first class that Colorado had of the hunter safety. I was the first year of hunter safety, and we had to take it to carry to carry a
Yeah.
to get a hunting license, and
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
goes with carrying a
Uh,
gun too.
I
And
did
I
that.
think
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and mine was the first year that was
Yep.
required. I was, so that was eons ago. That was decades ago.
Oh,
Hell,
oh, did
eons.
you
Hell, that was
have, no,
decades.
that was, did you have Sid Sellers?
Yes,
Mine
yeah,
too. I had him
yeah.
too.
And we had to do a field test. Did you have
Yep.
to do a field test? Yeah. And
I know we went to a firing range where we
well,
shot 22 rifles.
yeah, we had to do a field test. Not just we had to take the written test.
Yep.
Then we had to do a field test. That meant, like when you pass your gun through the fence, what do? Well, you're supposed to lay it down. A lot of guys just lean it against the fence. It falls over, shoots them in the head.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
we had to do an actual field test, and then we had to shoot a 22 and hit the target.
Yep.
X amount of times,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I've never regretted that. That's I can still almost I could at one time remember the 10 Commandments of hunter safety.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one is treat every gun as though it were a loaded
Always
gun.
loaded gun. Yep. Yep.
And I think that's the best rule. And I've instilled that in my kids and my grandkids. And there are no such thing. There's no such thing as an unloaded or a toy gun. All guns should be should be treated as if they are real. So
That's right. That's right.
But yeah.
Well, we've done an hour, so
Yep.
I want to thank everybody, all two of you in the chat. Thanks for coming, even though the people from down under. Thanks, Grant, for coming, and Chris. Always a pleasure having you in the chat. You guys have a great weekend. Lloyd, any parting words?
Just what I always say, be kind, treat each other better than you treat yourselves, and remember, everybody does matter. I'm out of here, folks.
All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great week. Do a lot of shopping. And don't forget our Lloyd show tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
Artco Drone Solutions on Saturday. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.